everybody. How's it going, guys? Good to see we've got a few people here already. We're going to be getting started with the stream in about 8 minutes, probably a bit sooner. We tend to start pretty early. If you guys hear some banging in the background, we apparently have construction work going on here, so do ignore that. But I actually don't think you guys will hear it. I certainly do. Let me turn it up a bit there. One sec. See if that's any better. I'm going to go here into recording devices. Okay, let's see if that's better, guys. Get rid of this screen now, actually. So we have to do display capture with War in the East, but that's okay because we're actually trying something a bit different today. And I'm going to need your help, guys. So basically what me and Muso wanted to try is to give one of you control over an army. We just want to see this as a test. So somebody's going to have to be fairly attentive. Maybe we can have a sort of sub-commander, and the sub-commander can take over if the first person has to leave, for instance. And basically, I think the army I'm going to give you control over is going to be the German center here, so it's going to be the dark blue and the light blue. And what I need from you guys, from whoever we decide to choose, is just very basic orders. So we can't get too in-depth. I wish we could. If this ends up being popular, we certainly probably can. But really, right now, the orders would be, stay put, attack, or attack aggressively. And if you want me to focus on a particular settlement like Brest-Litovsk, or if you want me to try to get some armor behind the lines, you can also say breakthrough or something like that, and we'll do our absolute best. So we'll start here in about 6 minutes, give or take, and I think we have to, I guess we have to choose somebody. I don't know how we're going to make that choice. Who would be interested in taking over as a commander of the Reich? We have to see if anybody's up for the challenge. And then we can, of course, decide. Hello, welcome. Oh, there's my alarm. Welcome aboard. All right, let me remove this image so we get the actual browser source here. So basically, that's going to be the point of control. We're going to call it the Warsaw Army. It's really mostly our central army, and of course there's all sorts of swampland here, Pripyat. Some of you know this area. This is just an area you don't want to be in. It's a nasty place to be, so we're going to try not to get caught up there. Alright guys, 5 minutes and we shall begin. Yeah, feel free, Siri. Anybody that wants to take over, we'll go ahead and do that. Maybe we can actually call it the People's Army, the Volksarmee, and we'll let you guys sort of decide. I guess whoever drops a response first past the post, basically, we'll get to decide essentially the order we take. Although I think things are going to be pretty straightforward. We are playing the war from the very beginning, or I should say we're playing the Eastern Front from the very beginning. So we are going to go ahead and just charge right in. So, yeah, Reichsgeneral Siri. Oh, you use custom ones. Well, that's another thing we should probably do here. We've done it before on the channel, but in the future, we'll definitely show off some of the custom mods for the game, which are really cool, especially the terrain mods. They're just beautiful. Yes, General Siri. So if this goes well, we're going to see how it goes, because this was something on my channel that actually became quite popular. The problem is it takes a lot of work on our end. It really does. So if it goes well, then maybe we'll give like 3 generalships out next time, because we're going to be playing War in the East again on Monday. So that's one of the reasons I took the main campaign. I want to go ahead and show off the absolute best. Siri says, I suggest downloading the Great Map mod. Yeah, that's an excellent map mod. And actually, I think we did on our office computer, we did an actual look at that particular mod a while back. But just an absolutely beautiful mod. Your Pixel Trooper in 08. So Pixel can be your, I guess it would be the personal assistant. It'd probably be like a lieutenant colonel, something like that. I don't know what Germans call lieutenant colonel, so I can only guess. Ooh, counter mods. Nice. Alright, so we're going to get General Lobos. That's it. We're going to get started here, guys. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and let basically Siri and Pixel here decide what they want to do with this group. So this is going to be the group they have control over, the dark blue and the light blue. And I'm just going to basically look over this area for now. Of course, I can bring in some air support if they'd like as well. So that's another thing. But initially, they just need to make a sort of suggestion here. And again, be as general as you can. We can't deal with really complicated orders, at least not now. Eventually we probably can. But right now we're just trying out the system. So I could do a concentrated attack here on this security division, but quite frankly, I don't even think they can stand up to one of our units. So we're just going to attack here. And let's see, Defender Fort was reduced. That's the NKVD Border Regiment, and look at that. We actually killed, well, at least we caused 1,434 casualties right away. I mean, that's pretty good. We'll keep moving forward, and I'm going to hit that same division. What I'm really trying to do is get behind the enemy lines and cut them off as much as possible. Okay, NKVD Border Regiment is defeated. And if you guys see these clear areas, these are areas under our control. I don't want to attack actually with all of these units, but I will attack their fort. So let's do that. And once again, we managed to destroy a ton of men. They only damaged 4 of our men, and actually the fortified region just surrendered. Under that many men, I'm not surprised. We had a lot of guys go out there. So I actually want to move these units separately. They're separate but equal. Here we go. And, once again, they retreated. Excellent attack there. 17,448, so wow, they have a lot of men. So I'm going to take this tank division, and I am going to try to get behind the enemy lines. And of course, this is the entire idea of a blitzkrieg, is to get behind the enemy lines, cut them off, etc. Now I am going to attack their HQ, and we managed to get their HQ to rout as well as an artillery brigade. That's already a great start, but I want to completely cut off these rail lines, so I'm going to keep attacking. At this point, we've already got them stopped, essentially. They can't send anything through this particular rail line, but we want to do the same with the one up here. So let's go ahead and start flanking the enemy. In fact, we don't even need to really flank them. We'll just keep attacking these other divisions. Now, that's definitely a Russian tank division. So let's go ahead and attack, and it looks like the 23rd Tank Division retreated. Excellent. All right, let's take a look here at our generals and see what they want to do. Okay, move all the reserve planes to the forward air bases and start scouting for the ill-fated. Oh yeah, see, you're getting too complicated for me already. I can pretty much go with attacking the enemy. Do you need a GS on the first turn? Okay, do not need GS. Then push as far as you can with the infantry, and then encircle Minsk, Bialystok. Okay, I like this. So if he's talking about, when he says AGC, he's referring to Army Group Center, and that's a pretty good idea. So essentially, oh, welcome aboard. Did somebody collect a prize? Hello. What did you win? All right, we'll see. So, basically, he wants me to move first with the infantry and then with the tanks, which is actually a really good idea, because typically what I do is I end up just going straight forward with the tanks and trying to break through, but I see why he wants to do this. The Russians are pretty weak here. These border guard levels are pretty much terrible. As you can see, a fortified region just surrendered to us. They just don't want to fight anymore. You know, they didn't expect this attack. They're not prepared for it, and they're definitely not willing to stay and get killed. So let's keep moving. And again, I'm just kind of opening up a lot of these areas here. And yes, he does control Army Group Center. Also hit the security division here. And again, like I mentioned in my last stream, the NKVD here, it's not the NKVD you're thinking about. These guys are not going out. They're not good spies, picking people up. The NKVD border guards are border guards. They couldn't care less if people escape. Let's take a look here. Hi, Filippo. Good to see you, man. I should never move the tanks first. So see, I didn't even know that. That's pretty awesome. I always move with the tanks first, but I can see now why you do that. So basically we save movement on the tanks, and we get a lot of infantry out of the way. So let's go ahead and attack. Once again, some extremely successful attacks. And keep in mind, guys, these were the first days of the war on the Eastern Front of Operation Barbarossa. So it kind of makes sense when you think about it that the enemy would be completely unprepared, and the amount of men they lost on that first day was just incredible. In fact, if somebody can find the stats of not even the first day, the first week, how many people the Russians lost, it's dramatic, to say the least. Okay, I'm going to keep attacking. Now, for this position, I might go ahead and try to do a concentrated attack, and that means that I take more than one unit to attack, because there's quite a lot of guys here, so that's what I'm going to do. And sure enough, they retreated, and a lot of divisions routed, so completely ran away from the battlefield. Alright, we're still moving forward. I'm also guessing that Syria probably wants to avoid the Pripyat marshes, so I'm going to try to stay as far away from them as possible. But unfortunately, Brest-Litovsk is sort of at the initial stage of the Pripyat marshes. And that's right, I should be calling in some air support. I didn't call in any air support. I don't really think we need it, but you know what? You can never argue with bringing in some air support. So let's drop some bombs here. Okay, bomb some ground forces. Alright, bomber craft unavailable. We could also move some air forces closer to basically drop some more bombs, but I honestly think this area is going to be pretty easy to break. There we go. They're all on the run, and they have to run through this horrible, horrible swamp. It's going to be rough, to say the least. Let's take a look here, see if Syria gave us any other orders. Okay, so he only wants us to move the cavalry division to the marshes. So Pix was mentioning that rail through line through Shire north of Brest-Litovsk is important to secure. Absolutely. So basically what he's talking about is, I want to see if I can get, I think I can get a little closer. Yes, I can. So if you see this rail line, this northern rail line that's being defended by a lot of men here, this is bringing supplies into Brest-Litovsk. They're also getting supplies from the east and from the south. So there's a lot of locations here where the enemy is actually getting tremendous supply. So I'm going to go ahead and attack. I made a mistake here. I attacked with a tank, which I shouldn't have done. They explicitly asked me not to. So, see, I've also got to follow orders better here. So I'm going to take these 3 infantry divisions and attack. Actually, I'll attack in the north first, because they suggested that I cut off the rail line. And I'm actually going to be cutting off this rail line even without the use of tanks. If we want to take a look, well, actually, we do have some tanks here. But we can actually start sending these tanks out pretty soon. So I'm going to secure them so they don't attack. And I'm just going to send the infantry regiment in. And let's get these guys too. That didn't work out. Here we go. Come on, boys. And yes, Brest-Litovsk is going to be ours, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go ahead and march our infantry in there. Might as well attack that unit. He's going to run. And also this rail line is definitely important, so I'm actually going to take our infantry squad for now. Might as well cut it off. But, of course, they are not in control of this area anymore. I am going into Dnieper with 1 infantry division. I know I shouldn't. But this is actually a cavalry division. So they mentioned Siri, one of our generals right now, basically mentioned that we can move the cavalry divisions into the Dnieper area, and that's fine. So cavalry divisions can move through swampland pretty well, and that's evidenced by just the movement points they're getting. Look at that. They can essentially move through the northern part of the Pripyat marshes fairly quickly. So what I think I'm going to do is send them over here, because they can actually start attacking some of the enemy tank units. Believe it or not, yeah, cavalry can be effective against tanks if their drivers are totally unprepared for combat. Look at that, 4,039 men defending. Unbelievable. And now with our tanks, I'm going to start cutting off the enemy. So we're going to move forward, and look at that. We just captured some fuel. And once again, I'm just going to try to cut off the enemy rails wherever I can. Again, this is the whole point of the Blitzkrieg, is to try and just cut off their rails behind their lines so that their fighting units on the front can't possibly stand up to us. I'm actually going to send the guy back, because we're probably going to have to send his commander with him. And we'll also take what looks to be a tiny village here. And I'm going to keep moving north. Enemy HQ there. Look at that, guys. We are just cutting the enemy off everywhere. Here we go. Oh, this is beautiful. I don't think I've ever had a cutoff this nice. So as you guys can see, they're not getting any supply. The enemy here is not getting any supply. And of course, we're going to follow up with more attacks by our infantry. But this is looking really good for us. So congrats to Siri. And for those of you that don't understand what's going on, basically we have a general here in the chat, and we're seeing how that works, because we really want to start doing sort of roleplay streams where you guys actually get to make the decisions, especially with games like War in the East. And right now, Siri's suggestions are working out really well, especially attacking with the infantry first. You know, we're able to cut off so many more men by basically just kind of clearing the way for our tanks, and then moving in for the Blitzkrieg. Now, that was a crazy attack, I'll admit, and we actually lost 92 men, which is probably the biggest loss we've had since the beginning of this attack. Brave German soldiers. Yep, Siri's absolutely right. So basically, exactly what he thought would happen is what's happening. We're basically encircling this northern area of Brest-Litovsk. And he mentioned Minsk. Minsk is going to be over here. So we're going to be moving forward. Excuse me, guys. We're going to be moving forward here towards Minsk, essentially. And we are going to try and just push with our infantry, essentially, and get our tanks behind Minsk. Now, that's a lot of turns. That's not going to happen this turn, but we're starting. These are like sort of the initial approaches, the initial stages to that happening. Also, let me take a look here. This is Belsk. So, got another town. Beautiful. One second, guys. Alright, let's see. Yeah, we are really getting through these guys. And since they're cut off, they really don't know what to do. I mean, they know they're not going to be receiving any ammunition. Communications are probably also affected, because I'm sure there are telegraph wires, etc. Let's take a look here. Alright, save the rest of the tanks for the drive on Minsk, says Siri. Now, in the sense of moving them forward, Siri, that's okay, right? Like, we should move some of the tanks forward, but you want to save them in terms of, like, don't try to encircle anybody right now. Just move them to the front, I'm guessing. So we're going to start doing that. We also have some SS divisions here. And these are the Das Reich motorized divisions. These guys can absolutely chop through a bunch of enemy lines. And in fact, I think we can cut off that rail line. So we've completely cut off this entire army. So there we go, motorized. Oh yeah, they're not going to like that at all. And we're getting closer and closer to Minsk, of course. I'm going to send these guys in for an attack. Beautiful. Another region surrendering to us. I mean, so far, the war is going brilliantly for our side. Alright, but I'll focus back on a series front here. Let's take a look what he wants to do with the motorized divisions. Those guys are speedy, says Pixel. Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. So the motorized divisions, and a lot of these SS motorized divisions specifically, would definitely use a lot of motorcycles, supply trucks, etc. like that. That would be their main mode of transport. Alright, let's take a look here. So for now, I'm just going to keep moving the infantry forward. And again, we're trying to stay away from the Dnieper Bug Canal and the Pripyat marshes here. I mean, this is just a massive area of swampland. It's very hard to move through unless you're a cavalry division, which Siri correctly pointed out. So if you're a cavalry division, you can actually move through the Pripyat marshes fairly easily, believe it or not. Here we go. I think I'm going to try to attack with this unit, but we'll wait for now. And of course, we want to keep those HQs fairly close. If you see the red, this means that these guys are out of supply. So we want to get closer here, and that should change to blue or green. Not bad. We still want to get these guys a bit closer. In fact, we want to move our whole HQs up, and I think it's important to have the HQs on the rail lines at least. I don't think you necessarily have to have them in a town, but having them on the rail lines helps. Pixel says, it looks like the Soviets will chew you up with numbers if you don't cut off and encircle them first. Absolutely. Okay, don't attack, basically. Go around. Totally understood, Siri. Kalani, that makes a great point. Siri, how do I beat Russia in World War II? Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, okay. We're just going to call him Commander S from now, I think, to avoid the confusion. So this is a separate front. I just kind of want to see if we can break through, and surprisingly, the enemy actually held here. So we're going to have to break through the forts. Wow, the enemy's a bit tougher here. There we go. They actually managed to kill 88 of our men. That's no fun. Siri, how do I defeat Russia in World War II?
Okay, I found this on the web for how do I defeat Russia.
You're useless. It's just totally useless. Why do I even have it? It's just completely useless. Alright, let's go ahead and move forward. So I want to get back to that other front that we were focused on initially. And that's this one right here. General S's front. So we'll keep on moving forward. And with our armored divisions, what General S is suggesting is basically we don't want to get into any armed conflict with the enemy. We just want to cut them off as much as we can. And the only issue here is we're going to be quite far from our generals. But I'm pretty sure that these units, these motorized units, they pretty much know how to take care of themselves. So that shouldn't be an issue. Of course, they're going to eventually need supply, but I think being out of supply for a few turns won't really affect them. Again, that's a guess. I'm not 100% certain on that. Let's take a look here. Where can I best cut off the supply lines? Do turn and pull. Yeah, Siri's the worst. Siri should say, even if you defeat Russia, Russian winter will defeat you. Exactly. Siri needs to start coming up with some witty responses. Okay, so HQ's staying here, but infantry can move. I'm actually going to try to hit this tank division. They're out of supply. They're probably going to put up a fight, but not for long. So for this, I will go for a combined attack. We've got some security divisions here, but I'm basically using these to fight partisans if they get behind our lines. I don't think they're going to be very useful, in an actual fight. They're basically German police divisions. And they're usually equipped with, maybe if they're lucky, a Kar 98. Usually just maybe some pistols, some Walthers, or if they're lucky, a Luger. I would guess, though, they probably have Walthers. Walther PPK. And let's keep on trying to attack here as well. They have so many forts along the road here, but it's not really going to make a difference. Let's go for another attack, boys. Why am I doing a Russian accent? Am I a spy? No! There we go. Come on. Well done, boys. Let's take a look here and see if Siri and Pixel want to change anything. Nice, 47 viewers. And of course, if Siri or Pixel want to suggest anything else, please do. But yeah, this is just, of course, one turn, guys, in the entire war. We're trying to play the entire Eastern Front, and we're probably not going to be able to play the whole thing, certainly not in one stream. But this just goes to show you, just to do one turn, we're taking a very, very long time. I'm actually going to focus on a different front now, the Northern Front, start using or moving some units up, and using our motorized divisions to once again cut off the enemy after our infantry attacks. Siri, what's the best way to cut off Russian supply lines?
Here's what I found on the
Oh, I hate you, Siri. The worst. Terrible. She can't help me at all. All right, once again, I'm so tempted to go ahead and attack with my tanks, but I know better now that General S told me about the alternative, which is, of course, first attack with your infantry, then move forward with your tanks, unless you're in dire straits. Another thing we're doing by sending those tanks behind the enemy lines, if you guys have noticed, is we're scaring off their HQ units. And without those HQ units, they can't be supplied. So here's a great example. I'm just going to send the tank through, and I've just cut off a ton of railroads to Riga and scared off a few of these guys. And if I probably get a bit closer here, I'll probably scare that HQ unit off as well. In fact, I can probably scare it off with just infantry, if I'm not mistaken. Keep on going, boys. And as for this tank, yeah, we'll send him to the enemy HQ area. And look at that, we just captured 4 tons of supply and 2 tons of fuel. We'll also hit this enemy tank division. And the defending forces actually held. Well done. But as you can see, the HQ absolutely retreated all the way over here, and being that far from their men is going to affect them. Come on, Ben. Well done. The rifle division has retreated. Okay, very nice. Look at that, we just shattered 2 divisions. The enemy lost 2,685 men. They don't even know what to do at this point. Attack. I think they'll surrender. No, they retreated. Wow. Once again, another NKVD border regiment. We're not really too concerned with them. There's a big difference between the NKVD and an NKVD border regiment. It's like saying I'm an FBI agent again versus saying I'm a security guard at an FBI building. There's a big difference. All right, let's go ahead and attack. And I'll be honest with you, with most of these NKVD border guard regiments, I think a ton of them just ran away as soon as they saw the Germans. You know, initially, Stalin didn't even believe that the reports of an attack were legitimate. You know, he was thinking maybe there's a possibility that there's some really crazy German war games going on, where they're firing shells at us. You know, is that a possibility? No, it's not. Well, yeah, it's going to be tough to explain to the people because, you know, we just signed an alliance with these guys and a non-aggression pact. Yeah, this is not going to look good. So Stalin basically had a minor panic attack. Now, we are going to move here with the Totenkopf division, another SS motorized division, to Riga. And what we've done here is we've cut off the rail lines completely in the north. There's nothing left. I could try to attack Riga, but I think we're going to need some more men. Pretty sure they're going to have that area well defended. Okay, let's cut them off here as well. So, I don't know if Siri can confirm this, but this is basically like what we're doing. It's almost like slicing and dicing, right? We're essentially cutting through the enemy lines one turn, and the next turn, the idea is that we'll have enough fuel to cut them off again, I'm guessing. My main concern is, are we going to be able to have enough fuel in the next turn to be able to continue forward, or are we going to have to wait for those HQs to get into position? And actually, I'm going to take both of these units. This tank division is actually stopping us right now. So I think I'm going to ignore it and move towards the HQ division. Modul as the commander. Once again, I'm going to have to check out how to do that. Let's take a look here. You should always get Riga by turn 1. Yeah, so this is tough. Hey, Xylarome, how you doing, man? Siri says, if I play the Soviets, I move the NKVD regiments to build fortifications at the Finnish border. That's a good idea. So we should also attack with our Finnish friends as well, right? I think we have some over here. We could try. I think they're pretty weak, though, on turn 1. Yeah, they don't seem to have any movement points. Okay, let's keep attacking. I'm going to go back to Siri's front here. I think we can get rid of this tank division. Nice! Well done! Look at that, guys. Stug Battalion. We did have a Stug Battalion with us, so we already had some tank destroyers. Stug is actually my favorite German vehicle. I just love it. I think it's really great. I think obviously the only negative, or one of the negative components to me, is the immovable turret. You can kind of move it around in front of you, but you can't move a Stug turret around like you can with most tanks. And that's what makes it an assault gun, or one of the many things that makes it an assault gun and not really a tank. But I love that thing. Let's keep on moving. Get these HQs up close and personal with the men. We'll even move the Air Force, or the airfield, really, a little bit closer. And let's see, we can move this HQ closer as well. Get some support for that tank division. Although I admit I don't like being in the Dnieper swamps. There are few places in the world as bad as the Dnieper swamps, honestly. Okay, we've got... So I definitely don't want to move the tank division. If you guys can see with the movement, 43, 41, 39. So basically it's like two points for each movement through that area. But as soon as we get to the swamps... Look at that, 16 to 7, 25 to 16. The movement points in the swamps for an armored vehicle are incredibly high. And you can imagine why. I mean, if you have a tracked vehicle moving through mud, moving through, a boggy area, it's going to be very, very hard to extract that vehicle. So once again, I will keep on moving. I'd like to get rid of the enemy HQs here, so I'm going to do something probably Siri won't like, and that's move one of these tanks here, one of the tank divisions, just to see if I can get the HQ divisions to run, and I'm going to attack. I've got to try to get rid of the HQs. There we go. Sure enough, they were shattered, completely shattered, and that's Vasily Kuznetsov, who just got destroyed. Let's see. Yeah, we could keep moving. Look at that. Once again, a major rout. So Stalin will be amazed at day one's fighting, obviously. And another division surrendering. Just looking great, guys. Let's take a look here and see if Syria's said anything else. Where are we? No, wrong page. Okay, so Finns activate later. He says, but basically HQ buildup is your friend as the Germans. You need to keep 25% of your movement points in turn 3 for the tanks, and motorized units to HQ buildup, so you have to remember that as well. Ooh, that's tough. There's so many steps to this game, and that's what really makes, just such an excellent game here in terms of, this is, like, we're trying to play the entire war right now, but there's so many things to do just on turn 1. I don't know most of the things that series talked about, and I've played this game and done very well in it for a long time, but you can tell that basically there's so much to learn. Some of the things he's referring to, I'm kind of like, I've never tried that. They make sense, but it's one of those games that really requires you to, first of all, read the manual, and second of all, a lot of trial and error, I think. I am going to go ahead and hit that HQ division. I can't help myself. We actually routed an AT artillery brigade, so we should consider ourselves very lucky. I'm going to try to get to Riga, but I don't think we'll make it. Maybe Kaunas could possibly take this area. So they actually held here. Not bad. Keep following this 5th Rifle Division. So I'm trying to break through to Kaunas with as many men as possible. But once again, even this area is pretty swampy. Although it's kind of more of a boreal swamp. It's not like, you know, a nasty, icky swamp. Just kind of a boreal swamp. A lot of bogs. Things like that. There we go. They're actually putting up a decent fight for divisions that had no idea we were attacking, at least near Kaunas. They're not routing immediately. They're kind of just falling back as they continue firing. And even though that's not an effective strategy for victory, you know, it's pretty good if you've got nothing else. There we go. We should be able to completely destroy them. And we're not even using any air support. We should definitely use some more air support very soon. Let me also take the SS Polizei Division and move them over here into this area. Now, the SS Polizei Division has an annoying setup because they only have, they actually have an HQ unit just for this one division. So they're pretty good, but we're going to have to bring this guy along the entire time. Okay, get more units to Kaunas. Oh, we might be able to break through to Kaunas. I'm not sure it's a very important city, but, you know, it does have some importance at the very least. Unfortunately, movement through these marshes is not easy. You can see our guys have already run out of movement points. I will attack here, though. So get rid of a few more enemies. But as you can see, as soon as we approach those marshes, things get a little complicated. Oh, come on, boys. No, they can't do it. And another thing is attacking a city with tanks is not something I would recommend. Now, if you're just using one group of tanks to attack a city, that's a terrible idea. If you're using tanks in conjunction with infantry, that can sometimes work, but once again, you're taking a big risk. Defender fort level reduced. Beautiful. Kaunas is ours. So we've captured Kaunas, and we can tell just by the clear tiles here that basically means that this is within our military control. I'll actually move our HQ there if he can get there. It looks like, no, it doesn't look like he can this turn. $575 men lost on the enemy side there. Oh, yes. Another major retreat by the enemy. Once again, just sending the infantry through this time to cut them off. They do have some interesting divisions here. No, wait, this is our Das Reich motorized division. I was wondering, I was like, why does that division have a black background? That doesn't make sense. Let's move forward. And at this point, we're just mopping up, I think. Forward, men! Beautiful attack there. Pixel seeing if I can get to Vilnius. I'm not sure on turn 1. We'll have to wait and see. So Syria is asking me to wait for the Army Group South. Soviet troops in the south are the best in the game. Interesting, and you should almost never fight them. Just encircle the tanks and high morale divisions. Interesting. I didn't even know that. So Do a Barrel Roll is mentioning, Sari is also agreeing that some of the best Soviet divisions were based in the south. And of course, the Southern Front is a very, very difficult front, especially if you go to the deep south, let's call it, because I think these are mostly let's see, Romanian and Hungarian divisions, and they're definitely not the best fighters. There are a few German divisions in this area, but I agree with you guys. I tend not to really move much on this front. Occasionally, I'll try to build up a defensive line here, but I can see why this would not be a good area to attack from. Now, there are areas like, near Budapest, etc., where I try to sometimes move north over here into this zone, but yeah, it's pretty risky. So here in the south, near Krakow, I guess is where you guys are talking about, we've got to be careful. That being said, I'm going to do my best, and I'm still going to move forward here, but I think I'm going to be a little more careful on this advance. Keep breaking through these cheaper security divisions to Lvov. Come on. And remember, guys, this is just turn 1. The game is so massive, and there are so many different campaigns. Absolutely, before the stream, we'll take a look at the different campaigns. I mean, I have a ton of them because I also own the DLC, but you don't have to play the entire war if you don't want to. We're playing the entire war today. Number 1, because we want to show it off to you guys, the massive scope of the game. Number 2, because we want to try out this new commander system with some viewers, of course, able to play their own armies. And, of course, we're going to be playing this game on Monday, so we do want to continue off an existing save if we can. Let's attack here. Ooh, they're holding pretty well. You guys weren't kidding. These guys are not breaking like their friends in the center. I think I'll grab this unit and go for an attack on the fort. Last thing I need is an enemy fort in my way. And they surrendered. Beautiful. 864 men. Attack here as well. Major attack. Well, they actually held. Wow. Well done. Well, that was my fault because I should be moving this infantry division as far back as I can. Beautiful. Enemy retreated. We also don't seem to have a lot of armor in this area. Well, I guess there are those orange units, but I think we have to break through here before we even consider using them. So I'm going to take that armor unit here. The 11th Panzer Corps. And once again, just trying to cut off as much of the enemy supply line as possible. Although I'm probably sacrificing this tank unit by doing this, because he's very deep behind enemy lines. Move forward, men. I'm even moving with the HQ for this attack. Nice. That's a retreat on the enemy side. Also got Rovno nearby. We've got to take a look at the casualties after this, guys. I mean, we have done a tremendous amount of damage. Let's move through here with our tanks. And maybe we can take Vilnius. Actually, we could have stopped there and taken Vilnius, but I decided to keep moving. Oh, no, we may have already taken it. Oh, we got it, Pixel. We got it. So Pixel was wondering if we could take this on turn 1, and we got it. Beautiful. Thanks to the tank division, of course. We still need to continue moving forward here because they can retake that area pretty easily. This essentially is our zone of control, this clear area. The rest is either, nobody's zone of control, or the Russians are in control of it. So I think first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and do a massive attack on that Russian tank division, and sure enough, we routed it. Beautiful. So I'm not sure how much it's going to help to have Vilnius, but yeah, that's a huge bonus. I mean, we've just taken a major city. Let's attack once again. Beautiful. Motorized division. Although the armies controlled by Pixel and Siri were not the armies that took Vilnius, they still, of course, played a major part in the fighting here. Just kind of opening this area up and basically cutting off the enemy rail lines back here. That's what really made the difference. More tanks? All right. Let's move this one here. Now, another thing to keep in mind, guys, is the actual seasons matter quite a lot in this game. So currently, I believe we're in the summertime. Once it gets to winter, the winter of 1941 was actually notoriously bad, as most Russian winters are. I don't think I've ever heard of like a mild Russian winter. It would still probably kill you if you weren't indoors with some serious heating. But overall, if we get to the winter and don't reach certain objectives, it's going to make the war much harder to win. So we need to reach, I believe, probably Minsk before the winter, which I'm hoping won't be too difficult. But we probably have to go even deeper into Russia. And the fact is, this is the killer of armies, the graveyard of empires, I should say, is the Russian winter. And it totally makes sense why that's such a tough sort of weather occurrence. I mean, it's so hard to get through a Russian winter, and we want to get as deep into the country as possible before the winter commences. So look at that. All those areas cut off. That's awesome. We've got Vilnius. We're going to probably take Riga. It's looking really good. Yeah, I'm pushing the tank way far. I was worried about that. I was thinking maybe I'm sending the tanks a little too far, and I should wait until the HQs catch up. But I'm thinking, hey, we at least cut them off now, and we have basically a chance to move them forward. Alaska's Russia's mild winter, says Muso. Yes, exactly. Northern Alaska. Cheers, Pixel. Try reaching the Romanian border in the south, says Siri. So he wants me to cut south a bit. I'm just worried about that, primarily because I believe we have to cut through the marshes here a bit. Let's take a look. So this is the Romanian border. And so he wants me to basically push through Lvov. I get what he's talking about. Push through Lvov and cut off this northern area. That would actually work out pretty well, if it works. That's the big thing. And again, this southern part is one of the few parts, I would say, in the Soviet Union that actually has decent defenses right away from day one. That's not to say we can't completely crush them here, but you can see that the men around Lvov are pretty well trained. They know what they're doing, and they're not afraid to put up a fight. So there we go. Some of them did retreat. And we are getting closer to Lvov. Obviously, taking it this early on would really be helpful. But it's pretty hard to move through this area. Here we go. Man, they are stubborn. Beautiful. Enemy fort surrendered. And Lubachev is ours. All right, let's keep on going, guys. Getting really close to Lvov with this infantry. Let's see what we can do. Charge! Nice. Well done, men. So 1,523 enemies lost. In these initial stages, they are just taking so much damage for each battle. I love it. All right, the defending forces actually held that attack. Gonna try to break through again. Man, those guys are tough. The 41st Rifle Division. Just seeing if I can probe through. Not like an alien probe, but probe through here. Okay, let's attack. Oh, wow. So they're actually sending in some reserve units there. And you can see here, if we just pause, if you guys see all of these lines moving in, these are actually our fighters coming in to assist. And it looks like their fighters also came in to assist here in this fight. It looks like they had some Il-16s, a few different guys from the Kiev Air Command. And we had the 5th Flieger Corps, although I don't see anybody here. So we might need to move these guys a bit closer for these attacks. We also want to start bombing a lot of these areas. Come on, HQs. We're keeping a lot of these guys out of supply range, which is not good. So let's grab that tank unit. Oh yeah. I don't want to get too far bogged down, but let's move them over here. And look at that. We can take the rail station to Lvov. Beautiful. I would engage enemy tanks if we had any fuel left, but we do not. Alright, let's go ahead and grab these guys. Go for a major attack here. Beautiful. We only lost 389 men, though. Not bad at all. We can't really attack with the security divisions. They're not really going to make much of a difference. But let's take a look here at the chat. Ah, thank you, Pixel. So both transport hubs should be seized. Look at the Soviet tank and motorized divisions with the high CV. Try encircling them if you can. Okay. So when he's talking about CV, he's talking about command value. And basically what we're looking at is just pockets of enemy units that have a high command value and quite a lot of... basically, they're getting a lot of supplies. So I could cut them off from the north, which would actually cut off a lot of units over here. But I think I'll actually go from the south. Near Rovno, because there are actually a few enemy HQ divisions here, and I think if we can get them to get the hell out of here, we're going to hurt the enemy pretty badly. And we'll also be cutting off these areas, basically further encircling the armies. So as you can see, what we've done here, with the help of Siri and Pixel, our current community generals, is we've cut off this northern area, we cut off this central area, we're slowly cutting off this southern area. And the toughest part is going to be here, the area near Lvov. There's a mountainous zone here. We have really no units of value in this area. And so that's going to basically just be a continuous forward push. We might be able to get a few tank divisions through, but it's not easy work. So let's keep on moving. Actually, I'll go for some bombardment here. Go straight for Lvov. Ground forces were bombed. Let's go ahead and hit these security units as well. And now back to just a regular attack. So this is a mountain division. Interesting. Unfortunately, its movement is pretty terrible. It's not its fault, though. It just started. But yeah, it's not the best movement for a mountain division. They can move one tile. Okay, I could go for a concentrated attack here, but first I'm going to try to push through with these infantry units. Get a little closer to Lvov. Beautiful. 5,144 men lost on the enemy side. That is just huge. So I'm cutting off Lvov as best as I can. They're still getting that rail support, though, from the south. I believe I can call in bombers to hit their rails. I could be mistaken, but I believe that's a possibility. Probably not going to do that for this Let's Play. I don't want to get too crazy, but I'm pretty sure that that's something we could do if we wanted to. Alright, let's try to take on some security divisions here. Get rid of them. Now, the negative aspect of security divisions on our side versus the enemy side is our security divisions actually seem to have a purpose, and that's to fight off partisan units behind our lines. But the enemy security divisions, there's really no pro-German partisans as far as I know. I'm sure you can find them during World War II somewhere, but it's just not something that really was well known. Extremely nationalistic pro-German. Maybe the Ustashi would be an example. But yeah, I guess the Ustashi were actually in power in Croatia, so you can't really count them. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not an aspect of the game that exists, so I'm not really sure what their security divisions do. maybe they raise morale. If Siri knows or Pixel knows, tell us, please. Because I actually wonder exactly what they do. I know ours, they basically combat all of the partisans, but I'm not sure what the enemies do. Look at that. We've also got a lot of tank divisions here, but they're still waiting for some fuel, and then we can start moving them as well. Things are looking good for the Third Reich. All right, let's keep going, men. Can we get to Kaunas? Oh, we've already taken Kaunas. What are you talking about, Agrippa? Attack. Here we go. Oh, not bad. They actually held. Oh, wow. And troops joining the German manpower pool and support unit. So they basically move supplies for the Reich. Wow. Interesting. That makes sense. Okay, let's keep taking a look. So just want to let you guys know, for those of you that are quite new to the stream, what we did here and what we'd like to do in the future, but of course this depends entirely on you guys, is we gave control of these two armies to Siri and Pixel, and we allowed them to essentially tell me how to move these units. Now, ideally, the idea would be that we keep doing this in future streams with War in the East specifically, and we start giving each of you guys, or a few of you guys, command of certain armies. Again, you have to be very specific on what you want me to do, but be as basic as possible if you can. And I think it's something that we could actually turn into, you know, maybe a weekly thing. But again, it's completely up to you guys. So far, I think Siri and Pixel have done a great job, and this is their front. I just want to show you guys, they controlled these two armies, and they have completely cut off all of these Russian divisions. Siri still wants me to move some of their men south here towards this area and eventually try to get to the Romanian border. But it's a really tough move because moving through the Dnieper Canal and, well, not the canal, but this entire swampland, I believe it's called the Pripyat Swamps, but there might be a different name for it. It's really, really tough. It's not easy. We also still have some movement here with some of their divisions. So I'm going to try to move them forward and engage in some more combat if I can. But if you guys think it's a good idea, let us know, and we'll try to keep that in mind for future streams. Okay, let's see. I think the HQ division is doing fine. I am, however, going to attack this unit if I can. No, I guess I can't. Well, that doesn't... No, it makes sense. That's unfortunate. Maybe we can attack with these guys. And once again, I would not recommend attacking across a canal. The only reason I did it here is because I knew that the Russians were already pretty unprepared. Let's keep on moving. Come on, man. Also recommend you guys to always keep those HQs fairly close to your men, because they're going to be responsible for bringing in supplies, etc. So if they're not near your men are not getting supplied. You've also got some more motorized divisions here. What should I do with these bad boys? You know what? I think I'm going to cut through the swamps. I said I wouldn't do it. And how amazing would it be if we could take Minsk on day one? Now, I think that's an impossibility, but Minsk is an extremely important city, and taking it on day one would be really, really cool. So there, we actually captured some more supplies. We didn't manage to cut off that rail yard, which I wanted to, or that rail line, but it's already pretty badly cut off. And once again, we're just continuing to encircle the enemy units here. And with encirclement comes lack of supplies, comes units surrendering. They won't even retreat at that point. They'll just drop their weapons and surrender. Keep it up, boys. So I'm actually giving them some support from the 28th Infantry Division here for Siri and Pixel's guys. Just because I see an opportunity to trap the enemy, and why not take it? Attack! I'm surprised they're still putting up a fight here. Wow, those guys are not bad. And that division completely surrendered. Okay, more units used to cut off the enemy. Let's see what we can do. Let's get over here close to the enemy HQs. And, of course, they're going to run away immediately. Okay, I'll try to get these guys back up because we're going to need them close to their HQ anyway. And let's move the HQ down here. And this is for the Motorized Panzer Corps Division. One of many Motorized Panzer Corps divisions. In fact, the SS have their own Motorized Panzer Corps divisions. This is just a Wehrmacht unit. Let's attack. Give us the town, danke. So Varina is now under our control as well. Try to chase them down through the swamps with our motorized unit, and sure enough, that worked out really well. 2,038 enemies lost, as well as 22 artillery pieces. They just can't stop us. They cannot stop us right now. And look at all those cut-off divisions. I'm loving that. So that's a very important part, of course, in the initial attack, to try and cut off as many of the Soviet Union troops as possible. And as you can see here, we're almost an hour into the stream, and we are still on turn 1. And that's because we're actually taking our time. Now, could you jump into this stream or into this game and just play however you want and, you know, do it that way? Of course, of course. But you're not going to get the best results. So you really need to take your time, sort of work out what you want to do. And yeah, feel free to try different things. I've tried all sorts of different attacks to win the game. And it can be really fun to try out different stuff. Now, sometimes I do really well, and I managed to move really deep into Russia, although I haven't beaten Russia yet. To be fair, though, I haven't completed an entire campaign yet in War in the East. I do have a few saved for later, but it's tough, for sure. And like I said, getting to certain locations before winter hits, very important in this game. There we go. Nice. What are you going to do, enemies? Just turned into German Bane there for a second. What in the world? So you can see here, this is just basically a mopping up operation. The enemy's going to have to surrender pretty soon. Move up north here. And no, I don't think we can attack there. We just don't have enough movement points. But I want to make sure my HQs are in order. And this one's definitely not. So I want to get them a bit closer here to these armored divisions. So, like, as you can see, and this is a mistake I just made, there needs to be a bit of balance. Of course, you want to cut off the enemy with your armored divisions, but if you get them too far from your HQ, then the next turn, they're not going to have enough fuel to basically continue encircling the enemy. So, you've got to keep that in mind. Let's keep moving forward here. You guys are walking very far, wow. Surprised. Yes, we will absolutely try to do it next Tuesday. Absolutely. Alright, let's move these HQ divisions forward as well. So again, you end up doing a lot of movement during the game itself. You can't just keep all of these HQs back. Some of them you can. You can keep them pretty far back in the lines. But you've got to, you know, basically be aware of all of your units during this game. And that means continually moving not just your HQs, but moving your airfields closer to the enemy. Your security divisions can pretty much do things on their own. Occasionally you have to move them too. The engineers can pretty much do things on their own, but everything else is essentially up to your control. And if you're brave enough, I think you can actually turn the engineers to be controlled directly by you, which makes you have to repair bridges, etc. destroy bridges. It's not easy, to say the least. I really want to see how the enemy's going to react here to these losses, but we still have men. We can still keep moving, so I'm going to keep attacking until we completely run out of men. There we go. Nice. Well, they got a lot of support there, but the enemy is actually pretty well dug in. Break through, come on! Nice, another fortified region surrendered. We only took 242 prisoners, though, so I would assume that a lot of them probably ran away into the swamps. There we go. Nice, routed another enemy division. 1,474 enemies lost. 2 guys lost on our side. It just doesn't get any better than that. Alright, more motorized divisions, although these guys are out of fuel. As you can see, I've got to get this guy closer to the tank if I can. But I think with this armored division here, he's not going to be able to do much. And also, there's a really beefy tank division right here. So cutting off that rail line would really help. That's 9, yeah, that's a big tank division. And so we've cut off this area, so hopefully those Russians will be easy to destroy next turn. Wait a minute. Yeah, we're going to have to go for a massive attack here north of Lvov. But first I want to see if I can bring any more guys to the fight. I don't believe I can. Ooh, we got tanks. In this one situation, I might... No, we're going to move the tank through. I was going to say I might go ahead and put him in the front lines and attack, but I think I'll just go ahead and keep trying to cut off as many rail lines as possible. And look at that, we just captured 1 ton of supply and 1 ton of fuel. Not bad at all. So as for this front, I'm not doing anything. This is, of course, a Romanian, Hungarian front as well. There's really not much to be done there, especially not in the early turns. We have a few more guys here, though, that we can move forward. And once again, I also want to move these HQs forward to make sure everybody is getting supplied properly. There we go, nice. Even the guys in the swamps are getting their daily rations. Let's see, security division. I'll move the security division up this once. Why not? But we're really going to need them soon because the deeper we move into Russia, the more partisan groups are going to start popping up out of the woodwork. Okay, let's end the turn, guys. Wow, that was a long one, right? We could actually still keep moving. I'm kind of actually ending the turn a bit prematurely because we could technically take a few more units, such as the airfields, and get them a bit closer to the enemy. Although I think we're all right. But I might go ahead and bomb a few enemy targets. Let's try that. Now, they do have quite a few anti-aircraft guns, and they do seem prepared, so we won't do that as much. Go straight for Lvov. Okay, let's go for the normal movement here, and I will take a look at the chat here. Ah, thank you, Siri. Yes, hoping that the Soviets would divert some of their armies. They didn't. Yeah, the Soviets rarely do what you expect. Unless it is to send you to a gulag, in which case they will be happy to provide that. Let's grab the units here at Krakow. No, we can't move them. So at this point, I think, yeah, ending the turn is probably the best thing to do at this point. I want to take a look here at the losses screen. So men killed, look at this, guys. 156,263 Soviet losses just in that first turn. I mean, that is really, really hardcore. There's no doubt about that. We'll go ahead and turn this over to the Soviets. Let's hope we did an okay job, and that we can continue attacking next turn. If you guys look at the upper central corner of the screen, you can actually see all of the different things that the game is taking into account, including the commanders, the weather, the air missions, etc. We actually didn't set up many air missions, but you can also do that. So you can micromanage your air missions as well, as your infantry attacks, etc. There's just so much to be done in this game. So if you guys see the interdicted ground forces, that basically means that either our or their air force was flying over a certain area, saw some enemies, and decided to go ahead and attack. Could be fighter pilots, could be bombers, but they basically saw a target of opportunity, it's called, and they went ahead and dropped some bombs. Usually that's going to be, especially in the first parts of the war, that's going to be our Air Force. But as the war gets, moves on, the Soviets are going to start getting some great interdictory fire as well. I don't think enough documentaries are made on how great the Soviet Air Force was late war. Now, of course, early war, no. But late war, not bad. All right, here we go. Let's see what happened. Pretty awesome, guys. So men killed on the enemy side, 229,000. Actually, it's 29,298. It was mostly men captured. So we captured 136,000 men. Men disabled 107,000. Basically, wounds so serious that they won't be able to come back. It looks like 61 men returned. Now on our side, we did lose. It looks like total 6,810. If I'm not mistaken, that were killed. 502 of our men were captured. I can only imagine that being captured in the first stages of Operation Barbarossa would be a terrible fate. Maybe not, though. Maybe they'd want to actually know something. And look at that. We can take Riga this turn. They just left Riga open, which is a bit amazing. So we're moving in with the SS Totenkopf Motorized Division. But yeah, they literally just left Riga completely open for us to take. I'm not sure if that's part of some grand plan. But another thing I could start doing is cutting off enemy units up here, or cutting off these rail lines. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not sure how badly it's going to affect the enemy, but at least we cause some damage here. Some more tanks here. This entire area seems completely abandoned. Not even sure if it's worth moving tanks, because at least not in this area, because we're really not cutting anything off here. We're just taking more and more land. Alright, let's keep mounting some attacks. And if Siri and Pixel want to tell me what to do here, I'll try to follow your orders as best as possible. But I think for now I'm just going to encircle the enemy, as you guys recommended, and completely crush them. I think we could take all of these units prisoner this turn. As you can see, we just took 5,000 units prisoner there. And this is all because of cutting off the enemy, like they suggested. The enemy knows they have nowhere to go, so they're stuck here. It's that simple. They can either give up or wait for us to kill them. Let's go ahead and move forward. Look at that, 7,049 surrendered. We don't even need to go in for a major attack, because they know they're going to have to surrender. And look at that, 19,637 surrendered. Oh, you guys are awesome. So you can see here the benefits of cutting off enemy armies. We don't even need to do any fighting. They just give up. Let's go ahead and attack, and they'll surrender as well. Yep, sure enough. So now, we keep moving forward. This area has been completely Germanized. Let's take a look here. Hey, how you doing, Dave? Good to see you, man. Keep pushing on to Minsk, says Pixel. Will do. I see Minsk right there. It looks like a delicious jewel. And actually, we could take these tanks and start cutting off the areas around Minsk already. In fact, we might be able to take Minsk with this tank division, although Fog of War is on, so I wouldn't be surprised if the enemy has some defenses here. Maybe not. Wow. I've never seen the Russians make a mistake that big, but we just took Minsk with no fighting whatsoever. So we're going to make them pay for it, and we're going to keep cutting off all of these rail lines all the way over here, north of Pripyat even. They have no chance at this point. At least these initial divisions don't. The rest, of course, they can escape. Let's move up maybe this way, or I could also try to capture that unit. I hate moving through these marshes, but that might be actually quite necessary. Yeah, let's go for it. And we captured some supply. Beautiful. Still got this unit moving through the marshes, and I'm going to try to cut off everything around Tarnopol. And you guys have seen, just right there in that attack with Siri and Pixel's army, that, you know, we completely took prisoner just hundreds of thousands of men, which just goes to show you, if you're able to cut them off, you're going to get a lot of rewards coming your way. I think even these guys will surrender. This is a tank division and also a fort. Now, they actually managed to hold us off there, which surprises me. But believe me, they'll come around pretty soon. Now, these guys have only been cut off one turn, so I don't think it's going to affect them as much, but we're going to go for a major attack here. And they routed. Okay, fair enough. Swamp combat right there. Looks like the defending forces held. 51 lost on our side, 161 lost on the enemy side. I'm still going to keep moving with my infantry, even if I have to move through these swamps here. Remember, they still have rail lines through these swamps, so we can't completely ignore them. And look at that. Routing a motorized division with just an infantry division. It's beautiful. So let's just take a look zoomed out here. Well, not that much, but you can see here that we control all of the territory there that is clear. So we are, and again, this is the first week of the war. We're definitely moving into the center of Russia really well. The question is, can we move into the north and the south just as well? Because if not, it's going to be very hard to win. And there we go, another 11,665 units surrendering. I'm doing this all with Siri and Pixel's units also, so that they get the honor and the glory of this. And look at that, 9,291 enemies surrendered. Just amazing. And still plenty of units. Let's cut these guys off. So they're all running into the Pripyat marshes, which, admittedly, if I was a German soldier running away from the front, I think that's exactly where I'd go. You know, it's not an easy place to find somebody, but I'm wondering also, what sorts of things can you eat in Russian marshes? I'm pretty familiar with, like, American swampland, but if anybody wants to share what boreal swampland is like, boreal means sort of, I guess, a bit colder, a bit more temperate. Not really a tropical swampland in any sense of the imagination, but definitely a boreal swampland. I wonder, like, what would you eat? What would there be to eat? I'm guessing probably not good things. Hopefully some fish. There we go, 45th Division retreated. And as you can see here, these are engineer divisions. They follow us as we move forward, and they basically change these tracks to German tracks or fix any tracks that have been destroyed by the enemy, of course. We still got some tank divisions here. I still want to try to cut off the enemy. And let's take Tarnopol. Look at that. They're just leaving their cities open for us. Well, thanks, I guess. I mean, it makes our job easier. They have no supply. Look at this. These guys are crazy. They are insane. I know they're Soviets, but come on. Let's go ahead and start getting these guys to surrender. They actually managed to hold there, which is surprising, but that's not going to continue. Especially when we completely cut off this area. And we'll keep on going. Let's get into Lvov, boys. This is the one place they're putting up a fight. Now, what I am going to do is bring in some bombers. Ground forces were bombed there. And I'm really just trying to scare them. You know, usually bombing is not done to completely eradicate forces from an area. You know, in some battles it is. For instance, the Battle of Iwo Jima. The bombing by the Americans was definitely made to destroy all the enemies on the island, but really bombing is more of a shock effect to the enemy. The idea behind bombing the enemy is to show the enemy that, you know, they're being attacked from all sides, to scare the hell out of them and lower their morale considerably. So, you know, we're just trying to scare them, and by scaring them, we just took the beautiful city of Lvov. I'm going to go ahead and also do a major attack here from all sides, and I'm hoping these guys in the center will just give up right now. Wow, they routed. I don't know how they managed to get through that encirclement, but it looks like they just took off running, even past our men that were firing their weapons, and made it through. Well, more power to them, I suppose. Let's move over here, and we'll hit this tank division as well. Yeah, I did not expect to take that area, although we did all right. Ooh, the Pinsk marshes. Yes, the Pripyat marshes. I would take a look, but we are doing a display stream, so I can't click. I can basically jump between this and our Twitch chat here. But I do want to take a look. If you want to go ahead and type in what can be eaten there, that would be awesome. It's definitely a place, though, I would run away to, especially if there was a partisan group or something that I was with. That would be the first place I'd go, I think. Attack. Now the question is, can we get to Rovno with the armor division? We already have Rovno under our control, but I want to see if we can go ahead and start targeting the enemy armor divisions around Rovno. And here they have a pretty decent defensive line with all these tank divisions. We have cut them off, but they could easily retake that territory. Nice, another division routed. Followed the retreating armies with our men, and as you can see, we just captured a ton of fuel just for doing that. So, you know, sometimes forcing the enemy to run a little bit faster is a great thing. Now, over here, you can see the enemy's got all of their HQs stacked up north of Zhytomyr and west of Kiev, and this is a serious group of enemy generals. If we manage to get there quickly and take all those guys prisoner, well, I mean, the war really could be over in a month, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that. We're still going to try to do our absolute best. And get as close as we can. Meanwhile, I'm still going to keep chasing the Russians. Keep it up, boys. So glad we took Minsk. I think it's hilarious that they left it open like that. And it just gives us such a bonus. As you can see, basically cuts off every single rail line in this area. So any Soviets in this area are in serious, serious trouble. We could go north to Vilnius, and I think actually what I'm going to do is go north of this unit and cut off further rail lines. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to attack that coastal area, but I prefer to bring some more men here. I think, though, these guys can probably handle it. Ooh, not bad. Enemy killed 95 men there. Now, keep in mind, this is the beginning of the war. As you get later into the war, you start to realize that the Germans start to lose just as many, if not more men, as the Soviets, once the Soviets start improving their tactics, of course. But we don't have to worry about that for a while. I'm going to move the SS Polizei division forward. Let's try to destroy that enemy unit there. Looks like they retreated. I don't think anybody wants to be captured by the SS. So they're probably not going to surrender. They're probably going to try to get away. Nothing good awaits them. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to further cut off the area around Minsk. Actually, we'll keep going this way. We're still cutting off the area around Minsk, but our focus is not going to be entirely on that HQ. We already have the city under our control. And look at that, 2 tons of supply and 2 tons of fuel. The amount of stuff that the enemy's losing right now is huge. I'm also going to attack this retreating unit. We can pretty much overrun them there. And they retreated. Of course, the numbers matter big time here. But they don't matter as much as they do, say, in a war like Vietnam. Body count here doesn't make a difference. I think we're going to be able to take out 1 or 2 million Russian soldiers, and they'll still beat us in 42 and 43. As you can see here, a lot of them are surrendering. But I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. But, of course, we need to continue taking these areas. It's very important. So it looks like, maybe we could go for that area. Let's keep on moving. We're moving through swamps, and obviously moving any armored vehicle through swamps is bad news. Armored vehicles just do not perform well in marshy terrain, period. Not bad, boys, not bad. Still moving forward with Siri and Pixel's army. Let's get that HQ up. Okay, we've got another armored vehicle here. What to do, what to do? I think we're going to move it towards the enemy HQ. I mean, just like the real Operation Barbarossa, the enemy is completely confused right now. Understandably so. They don't know what to tell their men. I mean, imagine being one of these Russians here in this area, or one of the Russians in this area, basically telling your commander, hey, we're cut off, we need your help, and him saying, well, do your best, I guess, because we don't have any really bright ideas. We're also being cut off. And that's exactly the goal here, is cause these cutoffs everywhere. You can see they're just cutting off 3 different army groups within turn 1, allowed us to take hundreds of thousands of prisoners, and I hope that continues. Let's attack here. There we go. Enemy division shattered. That pretty much means they're down for the count. They're not coming back. And the defending forces actually held there. I'm surprised by that. But we still have a tank here, and I plan to use it. A group of tanks, I should say. Let's see if we can do a little pincer maneuver here on this guy. No, I think these guys are out of attack points. That's okay. Yeah, we're going to have to wait. Out of movement points, actually. Attack. Nice. Now here I took a major risk, essentially attacking a tank division with infantry. It's not usually something I would do, but again, in the early days of the war here, you can really get away with quite a lot. What's this? That's our Das Reich motorized division. I think I'll move them up this way. Again, cutting off more and more territory. There you guys are. Dave says, during the German invasion of the Soviet Union, the Third Reich armies skirted the wetlands, passing through the north or south of it. However, after the debacle of the Eastern Front in 1944, many retreating units, such as the 7th, 35th, 134th, and 292nd Infantry Divisions, had to cut across the marshy areas. They often needed to build tracks with logs over which they could pull light loads in horse-drawn vehicles. Wow, that is nasty stuff. Experienced players usually move the cavalry only. Absolutely right. So what Siri's mentioning is I'm making some noob mistakes here with the swamps, that we do have specific units, cavalry units. I believe the NATO symbol is a box with a dash through it, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, they're made to move through the swamps. All of these infantry and tank divisions I'm moving through, they're going to have a tough time. It's not going to be easy for them. In fact, I think I'll move this infantry division out over here and basically just focus, like the Germans did initially, on the northern part there, as Dave mentioned. So yeah, I think we'll stick over here with most of these units and try to avoid the swamps as much as possible. But of course, there are still incredibly, and I can't believe this is the case, but incredibly, there are still rail lines moving through this swamp area. That must have been a hell of a task. I would not have wanted to be one of the builders on that project. Alright, still no real activity there. Now, the good news is these SS divisions are ready to move. The Viking SS Motorized Division. Look at that. But once again, we should not be moving them through this area. We'll keep this SS division far away from the marshes. Come on! Wow, those guys do not want to give up. At least not without a fight. That's awesome, Siri. So what Siri mentioned is basically how I feel about, well, just any Gary Grigsby game, which is, you know, this is one of those games where every time you play, you do learn something new. You know, you either learn a new trick or maybe you learn a new alternative to movement. You know, maybe you don't necessarily want to go for a cutoff strategy right away. You want to try your own thing. And you're absolutely right. The stuff you can learn in a game like this is huge. I would also say that, and this is my opinion, so keep that in mind, but as far as the Gary Grigsby games go, if you've wanted to get into a Gary Grigsby game for a while but you've been intimidated, I can totally understand, and I would highly recommend War in the East as the one you should get first. And the reason I say that, and some of you will agree with me, is the main focus in this game is really, you know, basically land combat. You know, land combat is the focus, and you can see all your land units here. Of course, you still have to micromanage some air units, things like that, but when you've got the land combat here, you can really focus on just having the fights, you know, down here on the battlefield, and not so much on pre-planning and stuff like that. You know, pre-planning your air force, pre-planning your artillery strikes. Now, you can do that a lot in Gary Grigsby's War in the West and also the Admiral Edition, which are both really great games. But I'm just saying, if you're starting off with a Gary Grigsby game, I would probably go for War in the East. If somebody asked me what would be the easiest to learn, I would probably say War in the East. And, you know, start off with maybe a smaller scenario or a smaller campaign. A lot of our campaigns are just 2 or 3 turns long even. And that can really give you the what to expect, essentially, in War in the East. Let's go ahead and keep moving. Right now, like I said, more mopping up operations. I'm looking for prisoners. I'm even going to move this tank here. Even though we've already cut off this rail line, I want to take these tankers prisoner. The last thing I need are Soviet tanks being a problem. There we go, 6,268. The game also is great at showing you how much goes into having an army. You know, that's a tank division with 6,268 men. You guys can be absolutely certain that not all of those men were tank crew. So there's all sorts of other jobs, you know, that soldiers had to do. Engineers to fix the tanks, you know, welders, etc. There were just so much went into to just one army. It's not just, you know, what you see in the movies. It's not just the guys on the tank, but everybody working around them. Let's keep on moving here. And actually, I think with the full support of these units, we can take this area. Let's go for it. Major attack. And this is a fort. And yeah, look at all those surrenders. A few surrenders, a few retreats. Not bad at all. Come on, mana. Alright, guys, we are getting close to the end of this stream. So what I want to do now, first of all, I want to really thank Siri and Pixel for playing generals for this army. And in the next Let's Play, we're going to keep them as generals for this central army. If you guys want to be generals in our next Let's Play, which is going to be Monday, let us know, and maybe we can try adding a few more people. I think eventually the goal would be to give out prizes for the best generals, the best strategic advice and tactical advice, etc. But that's going to come a lot later. And right now, our focus is just basically to entertain you guys. Now, I did promise you guys that I'd give you a look at the other scenarios before I ended the stream. So what I'm going to do now is save, and we're going to jump out and take a look at the scenario screen. Now, keep in mind, I have all of the DLC in the game, and I highly recommend all of the DLC for the game. I think it's not necessary initially, because you can obviously just go ahead and do the main campaign like we're playing here. This is totally vanilla. But, you know, to be able to experience the extra battles, you absolutely need the DLC. Let me go ahead and save here. Alright, and I think we're going to put this under V. I can't even remember what save this is. I'm hoping it's not the game I was playing earlier. So actually, I'm going to call this one Daranopol. Okay. We got very lucky with this one. We also had excellent strategic advice from Siri and Pixel there. But, you know, we got very lucky being able to take some major cities just because the Soviets moved out of them. You know, that really helped. And in turn, you know, we've cut off the Soviet rail lines here in the front. This is where they seem to be regrouping over here. And probably not a bad idea. So they're going to be in this area waiting for us. And Smolensk, Vitebsk, etc. And I think they're going to be pretty well prepared. We really need to get there as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and exit to the main menu, so I can show you guys the other scenarios here. So I'm just going to jump through a few of them. But as you can see here, guys, we've got Operation Mars, the Red God of War. And this is about the Soviet Operation Mars, essentially a massive Soviet revenge operation. 11 turns in length. You can also do all sorts of things like the Stalingrad to Berlin campaign. So you can actually play with the Russians. You know, I want you guys to keep that in mind. You don't just have to play as the Germans in this game. If you want to play as the Russians, you certainly can. And in this one, you actually play as the Russians from Stalingrad all the way to Berlin. If you take a look at the scenario length here, it's 130 turns. This is a really long scenario, one of many. And of course, winter in 1942 to 1943. There are so many great operations here. If you just look at each one of these, you'll learn something about them. I think Blue and Barbarossa are really fun for German players, especially for people that just got the game. And Case Blue Phase 1 is excellent. The reason I recommend this one for new players, it's only 3 turns long. And it really just shows you how important it is to be quick in the game, because the goal is to try and capture as many areas as quickly as possible, a given area, I should say. And if you can't do that, if you can't succeed at that, you can't really win the scenario. So it teaches you a lot of things about the game. But overall, I would highly recommend War in the East. I want to see if Pixel agrees here. Pixel and Siri agree that this one is the best to start with for a new player. Some people might also say War in the West is the best to start with, but War in the West is really more focused on the air war. So you need to set up your bombers, you need to set up your fighters, and I love that. I think it's really fun, but it can be challenging, to say the least. Pixel says, I've got enough on my hands. Absolutely. Yes, Siri, I think that would be really good. Siri says, I still want to buy Flashpoint campaigns one day. Well, keep on gambling with your slits, and sooner or later you might be able to get a discount. I love Flashpoint campaigns. Really fun game. And for those of you that don't know about Flashpoint campaigns, that's one of Slytherin's Cold War era games. I forget the name of the actual initial studio that created it, but very, very fun game. Of course, very challenging, and a lot more has to happen in terms of AI feedback, because most of your units, you're not directly controlling them. You're controlling their movement, but not their firing, so it can be a little confusing. That's it, on target. It is pretty tricky, Pixel. It is pretty tricky, I won't lie. It's doable, but it's tricky. So once again, guys, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. As always, I want to thank Muzo for his awesome moderator work. And, if you guys enjoyed this sort of approach to War in the East, with giving Siri and Pixel control over certain armies, and you guys want to control them in the future, let us know here in the chat, because that's the only way we really know, is if you guys let us know here, and we'll try to do it on Monday. We're going to be continuing this campaign for War in the East, and hopefully we can get to Moscow, although I think that's highly unlikely. Getting to Moscow is very tough, not to mention it's probably going to take a while. Yes, it is. This is a WeGo game as well. I think just about every single one of the Gary Grigsby games are WeGo, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Admiral Edition might be the one that isn't, but I could be wrong on that too. I know for instance that War in the East and War in the West are definitely WeGo. Thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate it. Yes, I'm looking forward to Monday too. 52 viewers. That's not bad at all. 54 now for a game like War in the East. I really am glad that we've got a lot of grognards here that are still interested in some good old-fashioned strategy gaming. And look at this. There's even more. There's so many missions, so many scenarios. This game is a game you will never, ever complete. Don't forget that you can not only just play these scenarios with the Germans, you could switch off over to the Soviets and play as them as well. It's totally up to you. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and have an awesome, awesome day.